Hey friends, TR back, and it's St. Patrick's Day, one of my favorite holidays. And I thought maybe we'd just take a little time here and do sort of a midweek blog this week. What do you call it? I don't know. But just trying to have a good St. Patrick's Day night. And I thought maybe I'd share with you some of the fun stuff I've been doing with my remodeling. So just to have some fun, I have installed these RGB LED strip lights. Um, they're supposed to be synchronized to the music. I'd have to say that the controller doesn't work very good as far as synchronizing to the music, but it sure has been a lot of fun just putting up and doing some bling on Rusty the RV here. Again, just to have some fun. Looking a little Munsters here. Looking a little Vulcan here almost. Let's kick on some light. There we go. So how's everybody doing with the corona, the COVID-19 virus? I did end up having to go to the grocery store finally on Sunday. Let's see, today is Tuesday. So I got, I guess, probably 2 more days before I know I'm coronavirus free. But the grocery stores weren't that bad. I would have to say Tucsonians, other than wiping out what's been wiped out everywhere else, toilet paper, anything with antibacterial in the title or the label is pretty much wiped out, at least as far as I can tell. Staples, pasta. I did find a box of linguine. I guess people don't like linguine, but I kind of like it, so I bought that. But I'm not hoarding. I'm buying what I need to get by on. You know, one of the things I think people don't understand with this whole thing is that we're not going to run out of food anytime soon. I don't know if you've seen these huge distribution centers that these grocers have. But I remember this has probably been, it must have been 10 years ago now. Maybe longer than that. A company named Winco, which is a warehouse type grocery store. I kind of miss it when I'm down here in Tucson. It's one of my main shopping centers when I go to Idaho or Oregon, Washington. There are some in Arizona here, but there's just not one in Tucson. There's one up in Phoenix, actually Mesa, but it's too far to drive to. But that's a long way to say that I got invited to take a tour of this distribution center. It was 800,000 square feet under one roof. That's like, what is that, 20 acres? That's 20 acres under a roof. This thing was packed to the gills with groceries, foodstuffs. They had cold storage, frozen storage. I mean, there was so much food in that warehouse. I was just appalled and shocked. And that's just one. Now, every grocer has them. When I lived in Denver, there was a huge distribution center for Safeway out on I-70 west of downtown. That thing was huge. It must have been 15 or 20 acres. I mean, there would be 400 trailers parked at the loading docks on this distribution center on any given day as you would drive by. So I think the fear of running out of food it's kind of ridiculous. I don't think it's going to happen. I'm more concerned, I'm going to be honest with you, I'm going to be completely honest with you, about the lockdowns that could be coming. I understand that they're trying to control the spread of the virus so it doesn't overwhelm the healthcare system. I think that's the biggest concern right now, at least what I've seen on the news. But here just recently, San Francisco, I think it was today I read that San Francisco is going to implement a 24-hour lockdown for 3 weeks. Unless it's a essential service, grocers, healthcare. They named the media, which I thought was kind of funny, but I guess that is essential service. But other than that, they're going to ask people to stay home. And then the other thing I read today is that all the state parks in Pennsylvania, New Mexico, what was it? Let me see if I can find that article so I can quote you from reality, not from my old dusty memory. Son of a gun. Campgrounds, I think, were the ones that were kind of surprising to me. It seems to me if you want to get out and isolate yourself, one of the best ways to do it's in an RV like this. But I guess I'm just a regular guy. Where else? Oh, Florida. The entire state of Florida is closing all their campgrounds. Now, this is still the height of spring break, and I think it's probably on the tail end of the snowbird season. But that's going to be crazy. There's going to be hundreds and thousands of people trying to find a place to park, put their campers in, because they're going to be, forced out of the Florida campgrounds. It's just crazy. I think most of Georgia was still open. Idaho Power campgrounds are closed, and that's the only ones I know about in Idaho. All of the Illinois public campgrounds are closed. All of the Illinois U.S. Army Corps of Engineers campgrounds are closed. Massachusetts is closing some of their state conservation campgrounds. Mississippi has gone so far as to say that their primitive camping areas are closed, but their RV camping will remain open. What is up with that? I don't get that. I think I mentioned New Mexico. They suspended through April 9th. All the campgrounds in New Mexico are closed. All facilities in Pennsylvania are closed. Let's see. Tennessee Valley Authority campgrounds are being delayed for their opening until around the 15th of April. The area around Moab is closed. RV parks and camping on public or private lands within Carbon, Emery, and Grand counties are closed. Only essential visitors, those working in the county, and primary residents may utilize public lands for primitive camping. No camp shall be located within 200 yards of another camp, and no camp shall consist of more than 10 people. Well, that pretty much counts out me going to southern Utah, at least until this whole thing blows over. So I think I'm just going to shelter in place here. Probably going to stay right where I'm at. I'm good to go. And I'm generally usually pretty well stocked. I mean, I'll be out of fresh, milk and eggs and stuff like that. But I generally keep a pretty good stock of canned goods on hand. Canned meats, canned fruits, canned vegetables, that kind of stuff. And that's really just from, 15 or 20 years of living 30 to 40 minutes from a grocery store, and it being such a pain in the butt to, you just don't get up and go to the grocery store, on 10 minutes notice. It was always a planned, it was kind of a day trip. So anyway, I'm going to shelter in place. I was just sitting here reading a little bit more about the Utah parks. Utah State Park campground closures: Goblin Valley, Green River, Huntington State Park, Millsite, Mountain View. So it looks like a lot of the Utah campgrounds are closing. And Nevada, I haven't heard about, except that I did read, I think it was yesterday, that they pretty much closed all the casinos. They've closed all the hotels, casinos. That strip has got to be a ghost town right now. I'd love to see some footage of people out on the strip if there is anybody. I do know that I was out a little later in the evening. This would have been, I guess, 2 nights ago, Sunday night. I had to run down, and a friend of mine's aunt is winters down here in Arizona, and I've been helping her out around her place occasionally, and she called me and asked me to come over and give her a hand with, well, she was trying to get water softener salt. She'd bought some salt, and the guy at the grocery store put it in the car for her. She couldn't get it out and get it into the house, so she called me and asked me to come over. So I went over to her place, which put me out on the Ajo Highway, and it wasn't terribly busy. So I think that a lot of people are just hunkering down. They're talking about potentially locking down New York City. Can you imagine that? Locking down 11 million people? In Tucson here, well, I should say in Arizona, they've closed all the public schools. Phoenix and Tucson has asked all restaurants and any place else where a public gathering might occur to be closed. I could tell you this, that Right here in my own little RV park, there's a huge list of activities that goes on all the time. They've canceled every one of those. So I guess this lockdown is coming, and so I'm kind of faced with a dilemma here. I think what I'm going to do is I'm probably just going to shelter in place. Most of the places I was going to go, I'm worried might be overflowing because of people, having to find a different place to park and camp. And I'm pretty safe and sound and secure right here. I'm not terribly concerned about this particular park. I think people here are pretty smart and pretty safe. I think one of the things I did notice was that a lot of the carriers, I mean, Comcast, maybe it was Sprint, maybe there was another one, I don't remember. Don't quote me on the Sprint thing. But they lifted all their data cap limits, so they've pretty much all gone unlimited. I hope that, that's to accommodate all the people that are working from home. I've noticed that the worldwide waste is kind of slow. I hadn't noticed it before, but usually by this time of the year, the snowbird congestion, the congestion caused by so many people coming south for winter, has let up a little bit and bandwidth starts to pick up, but not yet this year. I've also noticed, just from a casual observation, that usually by now the RV park starts to empty out a little bit. I did notice the guy next to me getting ready to pull out. It looks like he's headed back to New Jersey. I wish him well. I hope he can get there before they shut the whole country down. But I guess that's to be seen, and I'm not politicizing this in any way. I think it's prudent that we, shelter in place, that we keep our social distance, that we don't go into large crowds and those sorts of things. And that, if you're out there and you've got someplace to go, that it's probably advisable to get there as soon as reasonably possible before, this thing escalates and the virus gets out of hand. So that's pretty much my update. I've finished all the inside work. All my inside work is done. All the walls are painted. I've done all my repairs inside. We just came through 4 days of really rainy weather. I've never seen the humidity 55% inside the coach in any time that I've been coming to Arizona for the last 4 years. But last Wednesday, when I got up in the morning, the toilet seat was damp, and I'm thinking, geez, I just got up. I haven't had a chance to pee on the seat yet. And all it was just moisture condensing out of the air onto that cold toilet seat. So, but that's gone away. The humidity inside's back down to 18%, which is kind of where it runs and kind of where I like it. I guess that's probably all I've got on my mind right now. Let's see, Death Valley National Park's closing. A lot of the parks are going to be operating on limited schedules. I think mostly that's because they want to make sure that they're, people remain safe. There's people that, we don't want to see workers getting sick, which I think is probably smart for people to stay out of the line of fire. So I guess that's it. This is going to be a bonus episode on a Wednesday, middle of the week. But just wanted to reach out and say, hey, happy Thanksgiving. I've been trying to say that all day. Happy St. Patrick's Day. I hope you are well. I hope you are safe. And I hope you come back in a couple weeks for my next update. For now, it's time to go. Thanks for watching. Do appreciate it. Till we get together again. Peace. 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 Bye.